Give me 39 minutes, and I'll teach you how to take control of your reality. A bold, almost unbelievable promise, isn't it? We've become accustomed to skeptical of such claims, to relegate them to the closet of ideas that are too good to be true. But stop for a moment and imagine if it were true that you were not just a passenger in life, but also the driver of the ship. The ability to influence what unfolds around you is not a privilege reserved for prophets, saints, or a mystical elite. It is not a trick of luck, nor a gift dropped from the heavens to a chosen few. It is a skill, and like any skill, playing the violin, painting a canvas, learning a new language, it can be practiced, refined, and ultimately mastered. The stage upon which this skill operates is the quantum field, that vast unseen fabric in which all matter and energy are entangled. Most of us live believing that life is shaped almost exclusively by external forces: our job, our bank account, the volatile swings of the economy, or the drama of world events. We think reality is fixed, immovable, and that our role is merely to react, to adapt, to endure. But through the quantum lens, reality is revealed as anything but fixed. It is fluid, dynamic, endlessly responsive, like clay waiting for the hands of the sculptor. And here lies the startling revelation: the sculptor is you. Picture yourself as both a transmitter and a receiver, like an old radio dial hidden in plain sight. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every belief you quietly carry, these are frequencies. They ripple outward, broadcasting into the field, and the field in turn responds. And here's the catch: the field does not give you what you wish for, it gives you what you are. This distinction is why so many struggle. For centuries, men and women have prayed, begged, and bargained with the unseen world, believing they must coax blessings into being. But this chasing creates resistance. It is like standing in front of a radio, shouting at it to change the song, yet refusing to move the dial. You can demand endlessly, but unless you tune differently, the melody will not change. And so most keep pushing forward, applying effort, discipline, force, believing results must be dragged into existence through sweat alone. But the more they push, the louder the static becomes. Reality, instead of bending, hardens. This is why the ancients, long before the vocabulary of physics existed, spoke of harmony, alignment, and resonance. In India's Vedic traditions, sages taught that the outer world was Maya, an illusion responsive to inner vibration. The Hermetic philosophers of Egypt whispered, "As within, so without." And Greek thinkers like Pythagoras described the cosmos as music, strings vibrating in sympathy with the soul. The paradox is ancient and enduring. The harder you chase reality, the further it recedes. The moment you instead align with it, becoming internally what you seek externally, the field mirrors back with astonishing accuracy. Naturally, your rational mind protests. If it were this simple, why isn't everyone doing it? Because we have been taught to measure reality in purely physical terms, cause and effect, one step leading to another, time marching forward like a line. We want proof first, evidence first, before daring to believe. Yet in the quantum realm, proof does not precede belief. Proof follows it. You must act as if, feel as if, align as if. Only then does the external world adjust itself to the vibration you broadcast. Science, far from dismissing this as fantasy, has hinted at it for decades. The observer effect in quantum mechanics demonstrates that the act of observation alters the behavior of particles. Awareness is not passive, it is creative. How you look at reality changes reality, and this is just the threshold. When your inner state, your thoughts, your emotions, even your body chemistry comes into coherence, It creates a powerful organized signal in the field. That signal pulls possibilities from the sea of probabilities into form. The reality you embody inwardly begins to crystallize outwardly. But here lies the subtle trap. Most attempt to control reality while still anchored in the vibration of lack. They visualize abundance, yet secretly carry doubt. They speak affirmations, but whisper failure in the privacy of their heart. They act while worrying. This split signal is why the field seems slow, even indifferent. It is not slow, it is precise. It matches your dominant state with mathematical accuracy. The field is not swayed by words. It cannot be fooled by declarations shouted into the void. It responds only to the vibration you truly hold. That is why the teachings across time have always pointed inward, to prayer, meditation, contemplation, breath, ritual. These practices were not superstitions. They were technologies of frequency alignment. And so today, I invite you into an experiment, not of harder striving, but of deeper aligning. Over the next minutes, we will dismantle myths, explore the science, and uncover the simple, startling method by which you can begin to direct reality, not as a supplicant begging for favors, but as a participant in creation itself. Once you glimpse the truth of this, you will never return to chasing. You will transmit a signal so clear, so coherent, that reality will have no choice but to echo back. The shift begins not when you conquer the world outside, but when you unlearn the oldest lie you were ever told. That reality happens to you. From the moment you entered this world, you were trained to see life through a narrow window. You were taught to measure your existence by what you could see, touch, and explain. The rules were simple. Cause was always outside, and effect was always inside. The paycheck arrives, then you feel relief. Someone praises you, then you feel worthy. A door closes, then you feel despair. Your inner state became a mirror, reflecting whatever the world handed you. But in the quantum view, the script is reversed. The cause begins inside, and the effect unfolds outside. What you feel, believe, and embody writes the blueprint of the external world you encounter. This means the sequence you've lived by your whole life, waiting for proof before belief, waiting for change before hope, has been upside down. And as long as you cling to that sequence, you remain trapped in repeating cycles. The same frustrations, only wearing new disguises. Consider a simple moment. You wake up, glance at your bank account, and see a number smaller than you hoped. Instantly, your chest tightens. Your nervous system floods with stress. You feel lack. That feeling is not harmless. It is a frequency broadcast. Without realizing it, you have sent a message to the field. This is my reality. And the field, impartial and precise, echoes it back. More situations appear that confirm the very scarcity you wish to escape. You believe you are reacting to reality, when in truth, you are reinforcing it. This is why the phrase, "I'll believe it when I see it," is so dangerous, because in the quantum model, you will only see it after you believe it. Belief is not the reward at the end of the journey. Belief is the doorway. Modern neuroscience gives us a window into this process. Every time you fire the neural pathways of a particular emotion or belief, you reinforce them. This is neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself. Fire a circuit often enough, and it becomes your default mode. If worry is repeated daily, your brain becomes a master of worry. If gratitude is repeated daily, gratitude becomes the default. And whatever becomes default is what the quantum field mirrors back. Your life today is the echo of yesterday's frequencies. The thoughts you rehearsed last month, the emotions you cycled through last week, The states of being you repeated again and again, they built the reality you now stand in. And the reality you will inhabit next month, next year, is being sculpted by the signals you are broadcasting right now. This is not poetry, it is physics. The field is responding instantly. You're simply watching the physical manifestation with a slight delay. Yet most of us try to reverse engineer reality. We attempt to fix the external world without touching the internal one. We work longer hours, chase new opportunities, hustle harder, push against obstacles, believing that more action must be the answer. But action without alignment is like rowing against a relentless current. You exhaust yourself, muscles burning, heart straining, yet the shore never comes closer. History gives us striking parallels. In the 17th century, Isaac Newton described the universe as a vast machine, predictable and mechanical. The worldview born of this, deterministic, materialist, shaped how humanity saw itself for centuries. Every effect had a physical cause. Every outcome could be calculated, measured, and weighed. Within this model, your personal agency was small. You were a cog inside the cosmic machine. But the 20th century broke this certainty. Albert Einstein revealed that space and time were fluid, bending and warping. Then came quantum mechanics, whispering a deeper mystery. Particles existing in multiple states at once, outcomes shifting under observation, reality itself dependent on the act of perception. Suddenly, the rigid machine gave way to a shimmering field of probabilities. And in that field, the observer, you, mattered. This was not the first time humanity glimpsed such truths. Long before Newton, ancient mystics intuited that the external world was an echo of the internal. Egyptian hermeticists wrote, "That which is within is like that which is without." Buddhist teachings urged practitioners to master mind, declaring that reality was a reflection of thought. The Sufi poet Rumi asked, "Why do you stay in prison when the door is so wide open?" What all these perspectives share is the recognition that the deepest prison is reactive living, being a slave to external triggers. To be free, one must reverse the flow. So imagine this. The next time something unwelcome appears, an argument, a bill, a disappointment, pause. Instead of surrendering your state to the circumstance, choose your state first. Hold it, anchor it, breathe it into your body until it saturates your being. When you do, the external must eventually follow. You stop playing the weary game of cause and effect, and instead begin playing the quantum game of cause through effect. And in this new game, you discover a breathtaking truth. Your inner state is not just a mood, it is an electromagnetic signal, a literal broadcast shaping the probabilities of your life. And once you learn to master that broadcast, you will never again live at the mercy of circumstances. To truly control your reality, you must go beyond the mind and recognize that your inner state is not abstract. It is physical. It is measurable. It is a broadcast of energy that interacts constantly with the quantum field. Science has confirmed what mystics whispered. Your body is an instrument, and when it plays in tune, the field listens. Your heart generates the largest electromagnetic field in the body, radiating several feet beyond your skin. Your brain, humming with electrical activity, is in constant dialogue with it. When the two are aligned, when your thoughts and emotions are coherent, they create a stable, powerful signal. That signal is what the field locks onto. In physics, coherence means order. It is when the parts of a system are not competing, but moving as one. The best analogy is laser light. In ordinary light, waves scatter in all directions, but in laser light, every wave is aligned, moving in harmony. The result is a beam of incredible power and precision, able to cut through steel or travel across the stars. Your consciousness functions the same way. When you achieve coherence, when thought, feeling and body move as one, your signal becomes amplified and unstoppable. Here lies the hidden struggle. Most people live in incoherence without realizing it. They think abundance, but feel fear. They speak gratitude, but harbor resentment. They visualize love, but quietly brace for rejection. This fragmentation is like trying to send GPS coordinates while your location keeps changing. The quantum field is not confused. It is simply responding with equal precision to your mixed signals. Neuroscience explains why emotions outweigh thoughts in this broadcast. The limbic system, the emotional center of the brain, can override rational thought in milliseconds. This means that when you think about abundance but feel scarcity, the feeling wins. It is your emotions, not your slogans, that the field receives. This is why positive thinking alone rarely transforms a life. The true work lies in shifting the emotional signature you carry. The ancients understood this long before neuroscience. Spiritual traditions across the world designed practices to induce coherence, even if they did not call it that. Gregorian monks filled cathedrals with chants, aligning breath, rhythm, and intention. Sufi mystics spun in whirling dances, merging body and spirit into resonance. Buddhist monks sat in meditation, slowing breath and thought until harmony emerged. Indigenous tribes performed ritual drumming and singing, synchronizing the heartbeat of the community with the heartbeat of the earth. All of these, in modern terms, were technologies of coherence. And coherence is where the ordinary dissolves into the extraordinary. Quantum mechanics tells us that every system exists in multiple potential states until observed. Your observation is not limited to sight, it is energetic. When your inner state is fragmented, you're observing conflicting realities at once, which keeps you in uncertainty and delay. But when you align thoughts, emotions, and body, you collapse the wave of probability into a single outcome, the one that matches your resonance. This is not magic. It is measurement. It is physics responding to frequency. And it is also the root of spiritual traditions that taught prayer, meditation, or surrender. Each practice quiets the noise, focuses intention, and draws the body into peace. The field does not need convincing. It simply mirrors back your coherence. Think of your inner state as tuning a radio. If you want to hear 98.5 FM, you do not turn the dial to 92.3 and hope the right music cuts through. You align precisely. Reality is no different. If you want abundance, you cannot remain tuned to lack and expect abundance to break in. You must hold the new frequency long enough for it to stabilize. The beautiful part is that you already carry the tools. Your breath regulates your nervous system, instantly shifting chemistry. Your focus directs your energy like a spotlight. Your imagination builds neural blueprints that your body rehearses as if real. And your choices, moment to moment, decide which vibration you sustain. When you practice coherence, something extraordinary occurs. The world stops resisting you. The current begins to flow in your favor. Opportunities, connections, and resources appear with uncanny timing. Skeptics call it coincidence, but those who have tasted coherence recognize it for what it is, the field responding to the broadcast of alignment. This is the power of coherence, the silent key that unlocks the ability to shape reality. And in the next part, we will move from principle to practice, learning how to train your frequency daily, just as an athlete trains the body, until coherence becomes your natural state. If you want to control reality with precision, you must learn to train your frequency the same way an athlete trains their body, not with strain, but with consistency, not through endless force, but through steady alignment. Controlling reality isn't about doing more, working harder, or demanding louder. It is about maintaining a coherent signal long enough for the quantum field to recognize it without interference. That requires a daily practice, a space where your thoughts, emotions, and body are deliberately brought into harmony. Even a few focused minutes can send a signal more powerful than hours of scattered effort. The method is straightforward, but it asks for sincerity. It begins not in the mind, but in the body. Step one, begin in the body, not the mind. The most common mistake is attempting to change reality while the body is still soaked in the chemistry of the old one. Your nervous system stores emotional states like a library: stress, worry, doubt. If those signatures have become your default, then no matter what affirmations you say, the frequency remains scrambled. You cannot broadcast abundance from a body that is still vibrating with fear. So before you think about what you want, calm the body. Slow your breath. Inhale through the nose for a count of 5. Exhale through the mouth for a count of 7. This simple rhythm signals the vagus nerve that it is safe, lowering cortisol, shifting your system into receptivity. Breathwork of this kind is not a modern invention. Yogis in India developed pranayama thousands of years ago to influence mind and body through breath. Taoist masters in China taught qi, breathing to balance energy. These ancient practices anticipated what modern science now validates. The breath is the doorway to alignment. Step 2. Access the end state immediately. Once your body is calm, close your eyes and bypass the how. Don't map the path, don't calculate the details. Go directly to the feeling of the destination. If your desire is financial freedom, feel the weight lifting from your chest. If it is love, feel warmth spread through your body. If it is health, imagine vitality coursing through every cell. Neuroscience shows that the brain does not distinguish between vivid imagination and lived experience. It fires the same neural pathways. Each rehearsal strengthens the circuitry, programming your body to exist in that state as if it were already real. Step 3. Command and release. Here is where many falter. They believe they must hold the vision all day, repeat affirmations endlessly, chant until exhaustion. But in quantum terms, repetition often signals doubt. A clear, coherent signal does not need to be screamed into the universe 1,000 times. Once is enough if it is pure. After fully embodying the end state, speak the command inwardly. It is done. Then release it. Move on with your day in confidence, as though the field has already received the instruction, because it has. The difference between wishing and creating lies here. Wishing checks back nervously, but creating knows. Step 4. Watch for the micro shifts. The universe rarely delivers in thunderclaps. It begins with whispers, a chance encounter, a new idea, an unexpected opportunity. Most people miss these because they are scanning for grand proof that looks exactly like their expectation. But the field is far more creative than we are. It arranges alignments in ways we could not predict. If you remain open, you will see the signs appear, like breadcrumbs on the path, guiding you toward the reality you tuned into. Participation is the final seal. To anchor this shift, declare it, not as a slogan, but as a living frequency. I am in control of my reality. Write it, speak it, embody it. Imagine that the moment you declare those words, the field receives your signature and begins reshaping probabilities around you. In ancient cultures, this was the power of spoken word. Egyptians believed utterances were spells shaping reality. In Hebrew tradition, words carried creative force. Even today, science affirms that language influences neural wiring and emotional states. Your declaration is not decoration, it is signal. So here's the method: calm the body, access the end state, command and release, and watch for subtle alignments. Practice daily, not as a desperate ritual, but as a rehearsal of coherence. With time, it will stop being something you do and become something you simply are. But even as people begin to master this practice, many unknowingly sabotage themselves, not through failure of technique, but through unconscious habits that leak energy back into the old reality. These hidden patterns, these silent saboteurs, are the reason many give up before their signal stabilizes. And if you want your broadcast to stay pure long enough for the field to answer, you must know how to spot them. By now you understand that reality bends not to force but to frequency. Yet even when people grasp this, they often unravel their own progress without realizing it. It isn't sabotage born of laziness or doubt. It's something subtler, habits so ingrained that they drain coherence like a leaking vessel. I call them the silent saboteurs, and once you see them, you cannot unsee them. Saboteur 1, the frequency check. This is the most common trap. You set your intention in the morning, align your state, and then spend the rest of the day checking if it's working. You refresh your inbox, scan your messages, or look for proof in every passing event. But every time you check, you're not broadcasting trust. You're broadcasting doubt. Quantum mechanics tells us that observation collapses probability into reality. But if your observation is loaded with suspicion, you collapse into the timeline of waiting. Trust doesn't check, trust knows. Saboteur. 2. Emotional reentry into the old reality. Your frequency is like a GPS signal. Every time you react the way your old self would, snapping at traffic, stressing over bills, bristling at delays, you ping the universe with your former coordinates, and the field, obedient and neutral, aligns you back with that version of reality. This doesn't mean you must become emotionless. It means you must become conscious. When you catch yourself slipping, pause, breathe, and choose again. Ancient Stoics practiced this as prohairesis, the art of reclaiming choice in the face of circumstance. Saboteur 3. Over-efforting in the name of doing your part. There is a razor-thin line between inspired action and desperate action. Inspired action feels light, effortless, almost too simple. It often arises suddenly, an idea, a nudge, a connection. Desperate action, however, is heavy, planned in fear, executed with tension. In the field, desperation scrambles the signal. If your breath is shallow and your body tight, you're not creating, you are surviving. And survival does not magnetize, it repels. Nikola Tesla once remarked that his greatest inventions came not from force but from the stillness of the mind. He understood what most do not. Inspiration comes when coherence is undisturbed. Saboteur 4. The narrative loop. Humans are storytellers, and the stories we tell ourselves sculpt our vibration. Things never work out for me. People like me don't get lucky. It's always been hard. These stories are rehearsals, and each repetition etches deeper grooves in the mind. The quantum field does not process your words. It responds to the emotional tone beneath them. Change the story, and you change the signal. Gandhi lived this principle. He spoke the story of India's independence long before it became political reality, and the collective frequency of belief followed. Saboteur 5. Treating manifestation like a to-do list. This is one of the most subtle traps. You meditate, visualize, set intentions, but you do them from the same mental space you use to pay bills and answer emails. That is the beta brainwave state, analytical, problem-solving, bound by linear cause and effect. But manifestation belongs to alpha and theta, the creative states where the subconscious is most impressionable. If you create from problem solving mode, you are still telling the field, there is a problem to solve. The signal remains divided. The truth is this: removing saboteurs is not about adding more effort, but simplifying your broadcast. The less you allow your signal to be pulled back into the past, the faster the new reality stabilizes. Mastery of the field is less about learning new tricks and more about unlearning the reflexes that keep you stuck. Imagine the version of you who already lives the life you want. Do they obsessively check if it's working? Do they spiral into frustration over traffic? Do they force desperate action? Number. They simply live in the frequency of what already is. They wake, breathe, speak, and move as if reality has no choice but to reflect them. And it doesn't. When you begin to live this way, something profound occurs. The field no longer perceives you as becoming, it perceives you as being. And once you are being, there is nothing left to wait for. The shift has already happened. In the next part, we will lock this truth into practice, learning the art of embodiment, because the final secret of reality control is not about asking or even aligning. It is about becoming. At the heart of every teaching on manifestation lies a paradox. You cannot wait for the new reality to arrive before you live it. You must live it now, as if it has already unfolded. This is the essence of embodiment, the point where belief dissolves into being. The mistake most people make is to treat embodiment like a performance. They visualize abundance, but underneath they vibrate with scarcity. They speak affirmations, but their body is still contracted with fear. True embodiment is not pretending. It is inhabiting. It is walking through the day as the version of yourself who already dwells in the reality you desire. Quantum mechanics offers a startling validation of this. In the quantum field, multiple timelines exist at once, different versions of you, different outcomes, all suspended in probability. The moment your inner state coheres with one of those versions, the wave collapses, and that reality becomes the one you inhabit. This is not metaphor, it is physics. In embodiment, you are no longer moving toward your desired life. You are selecting it. Consider this simple but radical exercise. For the next 24 hours, live as though there is nothing left to manifest. Order your coffee as the person who is already free. Answer messages as the one who is already loved. Spend money as the one who already knows abundance. Walk, breathe, and move with the certainty that it is done. This is not daydreaming. In quantum terms, it is collapsing probability into form. History is rich with echoes of this truth. The Stoics of ancient Rome advised their followers to act as if virtue already defined them, not as if it were a distant goal. In the Christian scriptures, faith was described as the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Zen masters in Japan reminded students that enlightenment was not something to chase. It was already present, needing only to be lived. Across cultures and centuries, the same principle emerges. Being precedes becoming. And here lies the paradox that confounds the logical mind. The less you push, the faster reality shifts. Effort belongs to the old paradigm of cause and effect. Coherence belongs to the quantum paradigm of resonance. When you cease straining for proof, you create space for the field to respond. Pressure dissolves, mental noise quiets, and in the silence, alignment solidifies. Embodiment is not grand ritual. It is subtle. It is hidden in the way you carry your shoulders, in the rhythm of your breath, in the tone of your voice when you speak. It is the frequency you radiate when no one is watching. The quantum field is not swayed by declarations shouted into the void. It mirrors the vibration you sustain in private moments. This is why the most powerful shift happens not during meditation or ritual alone, but in the ordinary. How do you walk into a room? How do you greet a stranger? How do you sit at your desk or look at your reflection? Each of these is an opportunity to embody the version of you who already is. And as you do, something extraordinary unfolds. The field ceases to see you as becoming. It recognizes you as being. And in that instant, there is nothing left to wait for. The shift has already happened. In the final part, we will seal this truth with a daily quantum activation, a simple practice to lock embodiment into your baseline. And we will widen the lens, looking at how civilizations themselves have shifted when enough individuals embodied a new frequency. By this point, you have not just heard about quantum manifestation. You have felt its logic weave through your own awareness. A quiet recognition stirs inside. This is how reality actually works. Not through relentless grind, not through blind luck, but through resonance, through the frequencies you carry. And here is the absurd, almost laughable truth. It has always been this simple. The universe has never required endless sacrifice or complicated rituals. It has only ever asked you to embody the state you seek. Right now, as you listen, you are sitting in the middle of a quantum field, humming with infinite timelines. Infinite versions of you exist simultaneously. The one who struggles, the one who thrives, the one who is still searching, and the one who has already arrived. You are not moving toward your future self. You are selecting which self you will live as. The moment your inner state coheres with the vibration of the version you desire. Not briefly during meditation, not only when you repeat affirmations, but as your new baseline. The shift is instant. The delay you perceive is only the time it takes for your senses to register what the field already knows. So here is the activation I leave you with. For the next 24 hours, behave as though there is nothing left to manifest. Let that sink in. No checking, no bargaining, no wondering. Simply live as the one who already has it all. Order your coffee as them. Walk as them. Answer texts as them. Spend money. Breathe air. Speak words as though you have already stepped into the life you've been waiting for. Because in the field, you have. This is not make-believe. In quantum physics, the act of embodying collapses the wave. Embodiment does not ask, when will it happen? It knows it has happened. And when you live from this knowing, something curious unfolds. The pressure falls away. The restless mental noise quiets. And suddenly, the field has room to move. The less you push, the faster it responds. The universe does not speak the language of effort. It speaks the language of coherence. And coherence is not just personal, it is collective. History itself has shifted when enough people embodied a new vibration. The Renaissance was not born from force, but from a collective alignment with beauty, inquiry, and human potential. The abolition of slavery, the suffrage movement, the fall of oppressive regimes, all began when individuals refused to live in the old story any longer. They embodied a different frequency, and in time, the world bent to match them. The same is true for you. You did not stumble on this message by accident. The version of you already living the life you long for is calling you forward. And all that is required is that you answer, not with more striving, but with more being. So stop measuring how far you have to go. Start measuring how fully you can embody who you already are. That is where the shift happens. That is when the field whispers back, match confirmed. And from that moment on, there is nothing left to wait for.